Hi, everybody. Welcome to Centered Healers. We are here today with Sheri Tomkinson, and we're going to just kind of talk about a few subjects and topics that we might think that would help you along your journey. So, Sheri, tell me a little bit about yourself.
Hi, Debbie Joe. So nice to be with you.
It's great to have you.
Um, Thanks. Tell me about myself. Well, I guess yeah, it's a long story, right? The short version, 6 years ago, I guess, I started on this journey. And, very recently now, I've opened up a website for myself. I'm the Light Wayshower, and I'm really excited to just help people start finding their light.
Well, that's cool. So you're new to YouTube, you're new to, having a website, that type of stuff. So what are you doing? Like, what brought you to this journey? How did that start? Like, because we're
Yeah,
still getting to know each other as well. So,
Yeah, it's really interesting. It's a whirlwind, that's for sure. If you would have asked me 6 years ago where I would have been, I would have said I would have been a high school teacher, still happily married, living in a city, big city, and none of those things are true right now. 6 years ago, I had a very, I would say, shocking and traumatic experience in my family, and that pretty much brought me to my core, I would say. It was so devastating and debilitating at the time that I found myself just looking for something else. Um, as a mother at the time, particularly as an individual too, but as a mother, involved my family, my children. And it was really hard for me to step outside of the guilt and the blame game. So I kept blaming myself and feeling very guilty about if I could have done something different or shifted something different.
yeah.
And I'd always been there for my kids. As a matter of fact, everyone that knows me would say that my family was always first and foremost. Very, very passionate about my kids and my family, love them dearly. But, then when things go wrong, you always think, what about if I had done something different? Would it have shifted or changed things? And the guilt, the guilt was eating me up. It was truly killing my soul. I didn't know what to do. I tried everything, nothing shifted it. Nothing changed the situation. And one morning, I found myself literally in the middle of my kitchen floor, curled up in a ball, pretty much screaming at God and the world about how did I get here, and how was this, and why was this happening to me, and why was He letting this happen to me? Victim status was pretty much set in, and I didn't know where to go or how to shift it. But from there, all of a sudden, I couldn't even explain to you how something did shift, and things were presented to me kind of in really in obscure ways. About, like, I started looking for something to guide me, and I'd never really done that before, not in that way, something different. And books or different things would kind of just show up, either like friends would offer them to me, or something on my phone would pop up and catch my attention or something. And so for the first time, I started digging into a completely different area for me, which was spirituality.
Gotcha.
Not that I hadn't been religious in my life, because I've always believed in God, but I had that institution of religion, right? So this was different, and this offered me something different, because when I started, what caught my attention was, of course, because for me it was the guilt more than anything, that I couldn't get away from the guilt, and it was literally tearing me up inside. So the first things that started attracting me were things that started talking about my soul's purpose and plan and all this stuff, which was completely foreign to me. What do you mean? What do you
Right.
mean I have a soul purpose? What do you mean there's a soul
When,
plan? What
when
are you
somebody
talking
said,
about?
they're like, Debbie Joe, do you know what your sole purpose is? And I'm like deer in headlights, because I was just like, what does that even constitute? Right.
What do you mean you have a plan? What do you mean? I had no idea. And then I started reading so many things and listening to so many people. And it's hard to explain this to people, but because people always say to me, well, how is that any different from when you would look at like religious texts and stuff, and when people would talk to you, ministers and that, how is that any different? And the only way I can explain it is that when I read this stuff, something stirred in my soul. It's like I knew beyond a shadow of a doubt that it was true. Whereas before, I always knew God was true, but some of the other stuff sometimes didn't resonate with me. But I love the energy of my church and stuff, like the people. But some of the things didn't. And some of the things I just, went with, right? Because everything else was good. But this was different. When I read this stuff, I knew at a soul level it was true. And until you feel like that, you're going to think it's baloney. But when you feel it, you know it's 100% true. And it started talking all about how we plan all the big things before we come here, right? That we have contracts with everybody who's in our life. Some are big contracts, some are small contracts, some are short contracts, some are longer contracts. But we do, and we set this all up before we come, because we come here to learn and to expand our soul. So we're not just thrown here. We're not just victims, as I was in, and we're not just thrown to the earth and said, hey, just let it fly and whatever happens, happens. And, get stuck in the dance scene and everything else. That's not how it works.
Yeah, that's
I'm here so that we can learn, right?
yeah, it's about the journey, right? It's about the experience. I think
100%.
I think one of the most pivotal things in some of our discussions is learning that it's for us, not to us.
Yeah,
And that aligns with that. Like everything that's happened in my life to bring me up to this point and to hit and be part of a bigger thing than myself was every failure that I've gone through has led me to this point where it's like, we're going to overcome. We're going to make this whatever work in my life, at my time, in my place, and really shifted a lot of things for me in how I process and what I see, and understanding that it is a journey and that we do have soul contracts, right?
100%. Even the idea like that something is a failure, that's us in a 3D thing, that we
Yep.
think things are failures, or we think things are not, that they're, really rewarding. Because before we come here, when we look at our lives, because we do plan it, it doesn't always go according to how we plan, because we have free will and stuff. But people think, oh, that when things are in what we call 3D negative, oh, that's because, it's not according to plan. But that's not true. We actually look before we come and go, what do we want to learn on this lifetime? What are some of the lessons? And it's not schooling, it's not education. Like I want to learn, how to be an engineer. It's not that type of stuff. It's like, maybe I need to learn humility. Maybe I need to learn true compassion. One of the biggest things that people need to learn is non-judgment, right? To not judge others. And the biggest one that I'm seeing now is people need to learn to completely love themselves, truly. And that's a huge
Worthiness.
one,
I am worthy.
right? So big. So you plan what we would refer to in 3D as the challenges, because in this world, in this 3D planet, right, you
Yeah.
learn more through, unfortunately, those dark times than you do in the good times. So you plan that. And the more that you plan, hopefully, is the more lessons you learn. So depending on where you are in your whole journey, you might say, I'm going to put a bunch of these things in, because in the end, I get to have unlearn all this stuff, right?
Yeah.
So if you're a soul who's strong and who has been around a bit, then you'll go, hey, I want to learn all these things in this one lifetime.
Oh, great.
Like I
That's
got
where the
to,
box checking comes in, right?
right?
Okay, got it.
It's like you're a
My
person
box
doing it.
checking.
It's right. It's almost like you're watching a TV show and you're like, oh, I can do this, and I can do this, and I can do this.
Right,
And at the end, I would have learned all of this, which
right.
means, not having to come back
Expansion.
again and all those things. Yeah, yeah, yeah. And so you say, I could do all of this. Yay. Because up there, when you're planning, you don't feel the density and you forget. I think it's like they've always equated it to me like having a child, how the pain of labor, but then if you've ever had a child, then it very quickly goes away and you forget it. And it's not till you have more, like when I had my second one, I went to labor again. I'm like, darn, I forgot how bad this was. Right? But and then it's the quickest thing to forget again. And it's like when you're up there, you completely forget that when you were here, it was dense because you see all the rewards. And the truth is, you look at your lifetime of everything that you did.
Yeah.
So everything is experience. It doesn't matter if we see it as negative or positive here. It's all beautiful and experienced, right? And that idea of things happening, not to me, which is where I was on the ground in the kitchen, things were happening to me. And it took me a while to realize that they were happening for me because I drew them in because of a lesson that I wanted to learn. And I wanted to learn to truly love myself and also to not judge people. And I never considered myself a judgmental person, nor I think anybody else would have ever. But in this 3D world, in this dense environment, sometimes it's hard to look at yourself and even see that you judge somebody. Like when I would see a child, somebody having a child, say a baby, and they wouldn't have a coat on, did I say in my head, oh, for goodness sake, put a coat on that kid? Yep, I did. Now I don't.
But that's a balanced perspective too, right? Like, and I think that that's the thing with being unjudgmental is that everybody is the star of their own movie, right? Like, and we're all supporting actors and actresses in each other's movies. So for me, when I approach it with that type of thought process, it doesn't, I don't want to say, but it just allows things to flow and be smoother in my life, right?
Yeah, you have to realize that everybody has a plan when they came here. Everybody has a plan.
Yeah.
And if you interfere in somebody else's plan, then you could take away an experience that they needed for the expansion of their soul. Now, that's not meant to say that some people are not meant to, because some people are, because you will have contracts with people. So if you're meant to step in and help and guide, then you will feel really drawn to do so, but not to judge.
Yeah.
Right? Because remember, everyone has their own plan, and you also have no idea where their plan is or where their experiences came from, right?
Exactly.
I just look at everybody and think, oh, wow, like you're a brave soul, right? You're a really brave soul to take on that experience because that's a tough one.
Right.
And the bravest souls are, by the way, are children that come into bodies that don't function as well or properly as some others. So if you see some children that have special needs or things that we refer to in the 3D world, special needs, because I think they're just beautiful, special children.
Right.
But if you see that, it's those souls are beautiful, brave souls who are like, in this lifetime, I'm going to master so much.
Yeah.
So before I would see those children and I would pity them. Pity is a very 3D low vibrational energy, right?
Very much
Because
so.
that means you're not honoring the soul or their journey. Now I see them and I think, you go, right? You go experience. Look at you, you brave soul. How beautiful.
Yeah, that's beautiful. Very, very beautiful. So that was a beautiful description. I love it. What and where can people find you?
I'm at the lightwayshower.com. It's 2 words, so lightwayshower.com. And of course, on YouTube and on your channel.
I know, right? You can find her here. She'll be back. So if we ended on one thing today, what would that one thing be, and what would you want people to know?
I would want people to know that you are the light. You are not a victim here. We truly are light, right? We are light. Our bodies are light. You are a soul having a human incarnation, but we are light. We come from God and we are all light. As light, we can do anything. We truly are only limited by our belief system. So I'm not saying that life is not challenging. Definitely not. I'm not saying that you could not have many challenges, as Debbie Jo, you and I both have experienced many, and other people in the world, of course, would have even have a lot tougher than that. So there's no comparison here, but you can shift it. You just have to believe in you. the more that you believe in you and you connect and you love yourself, because loving yourself is key, then you will find a way. You will definitely look for something and you will find a way out. It's not always going to be easy. It's not going to happen overnight, but you definitely can do it. From where I was 10 years ago to where I am today is completely, completely different. And it's because I started just believing in me and loving me. As light, honestly, you can light up the world. Light up yourself first, though. Take care of
Yeah.
yourself first, and then you can light up others. And this whole thing of that it takes, like, I have heard people say all the time, like, it's just me. I'm only me. You're a
Hmm.
spark of God. There's no such thing as I'm
Oh,
only me.
right. Exactly. And
But
it
you can
starts in the heart,
change the
right?
world. Yeah,
Right. Yeah. But it starts in being, centered. Like we've got to find what that looks like for us. To me, that's my belief. And
100%.
yeah, and so it all for me, it's just being centered in the now, being present. I'll always say, I'm perfectly imperfect. Because we all have imperfections, but we're perfectly imperfect.
Yeah, if we didn't, we wouldn't be here. That's
I
what we're
know,
here for, the
right?
journey of the soul, right? And it all comes
Exactly.
from the heart. If anything comes from the heart, it's always good.
Yeah, I think
Just stay in the light.
and stay, yeah, I stay in the light and be in the heart. So,
Mhm.
all right. Well, I'm going to put her description in the or her contacts in the description, and we'll have you back on and follow your journey. And thanks for being on today and hanging out with me for
So
a
nice to
minute.
be here. It's
And
always lovely to hang out with you
oh,
and your
thank you.
viewers.
Yeah, I
Love
know.
you so much.
All right.
Everybody out there as well.
Okay. Thanks.
Bye, Debbie.